Well, good midday, good midday, good midday, good midday, good midday, good midday, good midday to you, one and all. Listen, we're just excited about what the Lord is doing and how He is moving in your life. And even when you don't think He's moving, yes, He is. Even when you think He's silent, no, He is screaming loud. He's just not screaming in your ear, but He's screaming on your behalf. Even when you feel like, oh my God, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Trust me, God is still present. He's still in control. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. Please share, please share, please share, please share, please share, please share, please share. That would be fabulously fantastic. If you would do that, it would be absolutely wonderful. Well, ooh, another tight one. Do you know your place? Do you know where you belong in the kingdom of God? Do you know where you belong? Boy, I'm gonna get in trouble with this one. I can feel it in my spirit. I think it's important for us to know because a lot of times people want things that honestly don't belong to them or has not come their way yet. And I think that sometimes can be probably the most embarrassing thing that could ever happen. When you think a little more highly of yourself than what you should, when you think it's all about you, when you think it's never about anybody else but you will learn a horrible lesson that it has never been about you anyway. No matter how gifted or talented you are, it's never been about you. No matter how powerful you think you are, it's never been about you. Because the truth of the matter is, if God did not provide for you what you needed, uh, you wouldn't be doing anything. You wouldn't be accomplishing anything. Nothing would be taking place in your life. Life would just be one big nightmare after another. But because of His grace and His mercy, He allows you. I got a lesson. Luke chapter 14, verse 7. And I think this is something that we need to look at. This might be a two-part segment that I've got to look at because I think sometimes we all have that tendency of thinking a little more highly of ourselves, positioning ourselves in places that's really not ours. I'm going to read a little bit to you. Luke chapter 14, verse 7 says, and so he told a parable to those who were invited when he noticed how they chose the best places for them. Oh, this is going to be something else. It's not that they deserved the place or had earned the place, but they chose the seating position. They chose where they wanted to self exalt themselves. One thing that can mesmerize ministry is when you aspire or believe that a seat belongs to you that God never gave you. Boy, this is going to be deep. You exalt yourself and you say it's all about me, and you think I deserve this. We all deserve hell. That's what we deserve. But God in His grace and mercy provides for us. Look, He says He noted that they chose the best places. Then He says something that I think is very powerful. When you are invited by anyone to a wedding feast, do not sit down in the best place, lest one more honorable than you be invited by them. In other words, the seat that you decide to sit in, which places you in a position to be seen, and you're not qualified for that position. I need to talk about qualifications. I'm not talking about education. I'm not talking about theological statuses and all of that kind of stuff that's going on now. What I'm dealing with is the fact that you have decided that that seat belongs to you and nobody else. Because guess what he says? And someone who is more, and it's not that you're not honorable, it's not that you're not important, it's not that you're not significant. That is not the point. The point is, he says, someone shows up more honorable than you and was invited by the persons whose wedding it is, something is going to happen to you. Now I'm going to tell this story, and I think it's an important story that we need to understand. Even though I do have several positions, by the grace of God, I am what I am. And sometimes when I go places and I go unannounced, the first thing I do is sit in the back. And then you get the usher. Well, you need to go up front and say, no. See, the one thing that many of us need to recognize and understand, I'm really okay in the back. And I know many people can't handle that. They can't really wrap their minds around it, but I'm really okay in the back. I can still clean toilets. I can still sweep floors. I'm okay. Out of all the positions that I hold, I'm still okay. I don't think that people must bow before me. I'm okay. And on many situations, I'll be sitting there and I'm minding my own business, doing what I need to do. I sit back there in the back until an invitation is given by the appropriate person to do so. And there have been days and times when I was not seen. And guess what? I'm okay with that. Why? Can I read it? Can I read it? And he who invited you and him who comes and says to you, give this place to this man, and then you will begin, and then you begin with shame to take the lower place. It is better to be asked up than to be asked down. Can I let that marinate for just a moment? And the thing about it is, it has never really been a part of my persona or my lifestyle anyway. But the point is, I'm state president, moderator, chair, host, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff. Board member of this, that, and the other, whatever. Go to a lot of functions, go to a lot of things. I'm okay in the back. I'm okay because if the appropriate person doesn't call my name and say, this is where you belong, where I am is where I belong. Because there's nothing, and I have seen this happen. I have seen preachers walk up into somebody else's pulpit as if it were theirs. And then when someone of a higher level of recognition shows up, that person has to move. They go back to the choir stand or they go back out into there's nothing more embarrassing than to be asked down. And Jesus is trying to get us to understand, do you know your place? How many places was Jesus asked up to? How many positions did Jesus occupy? How many times did anyone in the realm of priesthood or any that asked him to do anything? If there was anything that they did, they tried to ignore him. They tried to talk. They tried to belittle him. And in the midst of that, he had no problem going to somebody else's house and talking about the kingdom of God. He had no problem being out in the street talking about the kingdom of God. He did not need an elevated platform in order for him to know who he is. And I'm telling you, I used to, there was a particular period of time when, and not necessarily the ones that are there now, but they wanted to sit in the pulpit and they wanted to be seen and recognized. And that's the reason why nobody sits there now. That's the reason why nobody, including myself. Why? Because it had turned into a catastrophe. I want to sit. This is my Sunday. Number one, if I don't give you a Sunday to sit there, you don't have a Sunday to sit there. And it just got so out of hand. And again, this was years ago. I ain't mention no names. But it got so out of hand, I was like, nobody sits there. Because I just think it's ridiculous for people who want to be seen so bad that they want an elevated platform to make them significant. I'm significant. And that's what I told them. I said, well, if you all of that, go out here on the corner and let's see your ministry. Go to the rescue mission. Let's see your ministry. Go in the hedges and highways. Let's see your ministry. Because if ministry is waiting for an opportunity to be in this pulpit to preach, then you don't even know what ministry is. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that, but I'm saying it because it is. I've seen it happen on many occasions that people have decided, I'm gonna sit in this seat, and the next thing you know, somebody says, excuse me, I hate to tell you this, but that belongs to somebody else. Could you please move? Do you know your place? Do you have the right level of humility? Oh, that's a strange word. Humility. To recognize that the first will be last, the last will be. Do you recognize, and I'm gonna talk about this for a couple of minutes. Do you recognize the privilege of participating in the ministry of Christ? Do you understand that there are people less educated and less qualified that he could tap on the shoulder and say, hey, I need you to do such and such and such and such. But by his grace and mercy, he tapped you on the shoulder and said, hey, I really want you to do such and such. It's a privilege. You can't earn what God through Christ does for us. It is impossible. And the thing about it is, once you grow up, you will recognize that ministry's never been about a seat. It's been about getting into the lives and the hearts of other people. It's about letting them know that they do have significance. They do have self-worth. They do amount to something, even when everybody else considers them to be nothing, including you. So what am I trying to get you to understand? Do you really know where you belong? Do you know your seat? Do you know that there's nothing wrong with sitting in the back or sitting in the lower seat? What is a seat? And then is he going to say, well done, because you sat in a seat? Or is he going to say, well done, thy good and faithful servant, because you've been a faithful servant, and servants don't sit. They serve. Oh, I know y'all don't like me. I know y'all don't like me. Servants don't sit. They serve. You will never find a servant sitting. They will always be about their father's business. They will always be doing what their father would have them to do. And that's important for us to get to recognize, to understand, and to wrap our minds around. Jesus says, you got to really be careful in thinking that you're better than everybody else, because someone who is positioned differently than you can make you look foolish. And so there's a certain thing you have to do. And when I come back together, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, because Jesus deals with where you need to position yourself. Because many situations of exaltation or advancement take place because they see humility. They don't see you grappling, trying to be somebody and being recognized and seen and all of that other kind of stuff. But what happens? They recognize that you're pliable, that you're capable, and that you're not full of yourself. Well, that's about 3 times, isn't it? I know y'all can't handle any more than I am so sorry, but I have to teach these lessons that have to be taught. I love you with the love of Jesus Christ. I'll see you later. May God bless you. May he keep you. Is